We are going live on the YouTubes. We are recording the show.
Mhm. I'll be up as soon as I can.
Okay. Just gonna make sure we're live here and then we will start our new intro. And here we go.
I'll give you the hair tie right off of my wrist. I'll turn it up if you play Taylor Swift. I'll gas you up when you're acting unhinged. If you're done, if you pissed, I'll help you burn down a bridge. I'm an always got time for my girls, girl. Wherever you are in the world, girl, I'll be right there when you call me up. If you need to cry or wanna get drunk, I'll be your number one hype girl. I got your back in a fight, girl. Round after round, I'm always down. There ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl. Yeah, there ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl. Hey. Woo! Round after round, I'm always down. There ain't no doubt I'm a girl's girl.
Good evening. This is Hurricane Girls. I am Hurricane Sheila Chappelle, America's ex-girlfriend, here with my besties. It is Tuesday night. It is June the 3rd. We are officially getting into summer and getting into, if we get this done this month out of the way, we'll be in the last half of this year. So slowly but surely we move along. We are the daughters of darkness. We are the sisters of rage. We are the goddess's curse upon mediocre men and nature's happy little accidents. I am Sheila. I'm here joined tonight with me with Hurricane Abby Rosemarin, author of The Year of Dating Myself. How are you tonight?
You know what? I am hanging in there. And that's a W.
I'm gonna take it. Yeah, definitely. Hanging in there. That's sometimes it's the best we can do. Hurricane Simran down below me there. How are you doing tonight? Therapist from the great state of Illinois. What's
Good.
going on?
Hanging in there as well. Hanging in there as well. I woke up this morning, so that's a good start.
You woke
Um,
up on this side of the grass, so
yes.
yeah, excellent. And also with us, Hurricane Morgan. How are you doing tonight, girl?
Bitch, we outside tonight. Literally, bitch, we outside tonight.
Yes, yes. And we have with us a very special guest here, one of our good friends from TikTok. Casey Taylor is here with us tonight to just sit and talk to us. It's Girls Club night. We're just gonna talk and enjoy. How are you doing tonight, Casey?
I'm going. I'm going. Just glad my internet's holding right now.
That again, they're the small wins here, I think. Um, we are the Hurricane Girls. We're on Hurricane Girl. We're on YouTube.com at Hurricane Girls. We will later be on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and also on WHTR Hurricane Girls Radio. We are a provisionally certified. I think most of us have gone through this now. Provisionally certified by the Creator Accountability Network. CreatorAccountabilityNetwork.org is there to keep our community safe and to address any possible harms that might happen. If you have anything that you need to take up with them, please visit their website and they'll let us know what it is we need to work on. We would have normally come out of Hurricane Mary's Calm Before the Storm live. She's not going to be with us tonight. Also, Hurricane Jen is out for work. Hurricane Evie is similarly indisposed. So nobody's sick tonight, as far as I know. No more than usual, anyway. But I do want to send a special shout out to a couple of people. Um, First of all, I want to send a shout out to Chubby Ginger, who went through a procedure today, often in our YouTube chat. If you're out there, Chubby, we love you, and we are very thankful that everything went well today. So happy that we got good news. Also, last week, our guest, Sam Kadena, my daughter, um, she suffered a fairly major setback this week, was hospitalized, and we're thinking about her because she had a seizure and she was injured during the seizure. So we are sending our love and heart out. Hopefully, Sam, you're watching. Your mama loves you, and the rest of the Hurricane Girls send you our best wishes as well. And so we want to see you back here real soon. Um, Coming up in the next couple of weeks here, we've got quite a bit of talent coming our way. We're going to be visiting next week though with Ashley, the musical nugget, and I think y'all are gonna really like her. I've been following her lives and watching her sing and just doing all kinds of things. We're gonna meet Sim's sister here in the next couple of weeks as well. So it's in breaking the tradition of having my family members on, we're going to get to learn a little bit about our own Hurricane Cimarron, I think, and also a little bit about the lingerie football league. So
Indeed.
yeah, yes, we didn't know that Sim's sister was such a hot commodity there, but
Indeed, she is. Definitely. I couldn't be prouder.
I love it. And then, at the beginning of next month, it'll be time to celebrate the release of The Year of Dating Myself, which our bestie Abby, we're going to be spending a whole episode revisiting the time when she was a guest here in the first place and then talking about the book. And that should be good. We've got a lot of other guests coming up. JL is coming up. I've been talking to others who may be able to come in. I did talk to Miss Emily this past week, who we had on the show before. She's going to be in Toledo here in a month or so, and then she's going to come back on the show in October to help launch her. We'll be the first ones to help launch her album. So, lots of good stuff coming up. Good stuff. But tonight, it's just us girls, and we're here with our friend and our new honorary hurricane for the night, Caci. Caci, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, tell us who you are. I
I'm
know that's a
originally
big question, right?
I'm originally from Appalachia.
You heard it right there in the accent, right?
Appalachia,
Yeah.
say it right, Appalachia. um, I have since moved to Alabama, and I live here with my little sister and two of these rotten little cats.
A fair number of pussies behind you there.
Breaking
Yeah, I
out the
see.
pussies already. Goodness
Yeah.
gracious.
That's
Free
my,
pussies.
the one that was packing everything a few minutes ago. I think my sister's got her scooped up in the other room.
Well, I want to point out one thing about you specifically because we actually, the Hurricane Girls actually owe you a big debt of gratitude because if not for you, we would not have lovely Miss Morgan here with us because that's how we know her.
Yeah, I did pull her in. She came in the comment section when she saw me live on one of your lives, and we just kind of kidnapped her and kept her.
Morgan, how did you know Casey here?
Okay, so for everyone watching, if you are not familiar with JC, see you later. Well, how I met Casey was JC had took a hiatus from making episodes of the Hell's Bells to give a synopsis of the show. It is about a woman who passed away and and went to hell.
I
She
love it
wasn't sent to
already.
hell, but she earned a paradise. She went to hell and opened up a help desk to deal with the unruly souls who are being some hellions from level 3 all the way down. And she falls in love with the demons. She starts a whole pandemonium, makes friends with everyone across the pantheons, and boom. So she takes a hiatus. Um, a girl, her name is Jordan's on the internet. She has her own show, Devil's Advocate. She started all this shenanigans. So she was like, the help desk was free. So I just came down here. We were like, oh my God, yes. So then a few more people had chimed in. Caci was one of them. I showed up because I was like, you know what? I don't see nobody black doing this. Hold on. So how me and Caci ended up linking was I had made an episode where my second episode was when I took my wig off, and and the funny thing was it was already slipping off, and it was the part where I basically talked about a real life family history where a white man actually did steal my mom's paternal side of the family's land. It was like over 200 plus acres. It had oil. My Papa Webster could not read or write, but my great grandmother could. He didn't believe in women being involved in men's business. And because of that, the land was stolen. So, I was like, let me talk about this. And my wig started sliding off. I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm like, y'all hold my wig. And then after that, I had fixed it, put it back on. And then I was like, I'm on break. And that's how we ended up being friends. We clicked when I talked about Dr. J. Marion Sims in one of my episodes. And so in my collective imagination, after entertaining an ex-boyfriend, which took me a whole week to do the episode, I entered in Casey's name because we was dragging him back to the front desk so the angel can do the whole bring him away past existence and then drop him down, and that's how level 10 was created. So yeah, that's how we ended up linking up.
And I also did a few of those episodes where my character was originally from the Rainbow Bridge but came down to help and volunteered on level 9. So
I love it. And all of a sudden, the only thing that I knew is that all of a sudden here was this person in my life. Caci and has been in my TikTok live since. You know what? Like all good friendships, I don't remember when we met. I just know that you've just pretty much been there the whole time, and then
I know.
You know? Okay.
I'll tell you. You want?
Yeah, I want to know because I'm gonna just go ahead and own my own shit here. I don't remember.
Okay, well, we had like commented back and forth on a couple of your videos because they'd come across my feed, and then you did one where you were talking like, "Do you want to know my dead name?" or something.
Oh yeah.
And I paused it and I was like, "I don't need to know anybody's dead name." And you said I passed the test. I was like, "What fucking test?" That you hadn't actually did that. You just kind of did that,
right?
And the camera, and I was like,
yes.
Okay, well that's a relief because I hope you weren't gonna just like dead name yourself on the internet.
So I did that. I was just wanting to. It was sort of an object sort of lesson there. I was like, you know what? If you want to know my dead name, I'm gonna say it at the end of this video, and if you don't want to know it, now's the time for you to swipe away. Now's the time for you to go away. And then I gave a little countdown and I was like, all right. So if you want to know it, no, you fucking don't. And that was the point of the video. And she passed the test. So yeah. Okay, so that was the video that you met me on. And then Morgan came in on
we had officially met. We had commented back and forth a little bit without talking. But that was the one. And then the next time you were live and I went in there, I saw you live and I went on and you invited me up immediately. Yep. And game over from there.
And that's where it's been. We've been watching you with your shitty ass signal at work the whole entire time.
The dryer of safety.
Yes, we're at the dryer where the signal happens to exist in your workplace there.
What it is, I think, is my phone case is magnetic, and I just kind of stick it up on the dryer, and I think the dryer itself is acting as kind of an antenna of some kind, and just like correcting the signal. I don't know. It's just like this one little sweet spot in this one little position on that one dryer but that's it. That's the only place I get signal, in the back of that office.
Well, Morgan came in and she can't hear me saying it now. So, or no, can you? Can you? Okay, I saw you doing with your headphones there. Morgan
Yeah, I
came
was.
in to the live. I had no idea who she was. But all I knew is she was a presence, like a whole personality. Back then, it was me and Barbie that were doing this show, and I was like, oh my God, if I get Barbie and Morgan in the same room, and that's happened one time with one episode, and it's a paywall episode of Hurricane Girls. One time Morgan has been on the show with Barbie, but my thought was we're gonna have all this chemistry and stuff, and then Barbie left the show because she needed to for health reasons, and then I was like, Sim, help. And we started over again, and I have never regretted that decision of inviting Morgan or any of you really onto the show.
Yeah, but let's talk about how y'all secretly did not tell me and how I found the fuck out in the phone. I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh, Morgan just thought we were doing a glorified live. Right.
I was like, me, a podcaster, I wanted to be like, hell nah, let me go back in my corner. You're like, absolutely not. So I'm like,
The corn.
I thought that I had been very clear in what we were doing, but Morgan thought that we were just gonna like this was gonna be like a Discord chat or something like that. And then she got in here and realized we're going out over YouTube, and we're going out over Spotify and Apple and everything else. And apparently Google knows who we are. So
yeah, and I
like
was like,
yeah. And but the thing is like from that surprise, you totally ran with it though. You totally were like, okay, well, I've done it this first time. Let's fucking keep on doing it.
now Google knows me as the crash out queen for golden toilets and golden urinals. Because absolutely not.
Yes, that's so perilously close to golden showers. I don't even want to.
I, Sheila,
Sorry.
oh my God.
You left it right there. You left it right there on the table, and I snatched it right up.
That was not for that purpose.
Oh my gosh. So, yes, and so Casey, you usually work, which is why we haven't had you on before, but
Yeah.
here we are. And you come from Appalachia,
Appalachia.
not Appalachia, y'all get this right. It is Pride this month. So, yeah, I want to say happy Pride to everybody. All of you who are a little bit crooked.
All of us, except Morgan. Oh, and Sim. Sim's on either, is she?
No, Sim is I think I don't know. We could probably convert her at some point. I don't know.
Oh my
But
God.
listen, Sim has despite our sisterhood, Sim has flirted with me on more than one occasion. But that's okay. Morgan has been picked up on by so many women on this show. Like
Happy
more than
Pride
more
Month.
than all the rest of us combined, honestly. Like more women have picked up on flirted with Morgan than any of the rest of us because she's obviously a queen. But being Pride, where do you fall on that rainbow there, Casey, if at all?
I am demi-pan romantic asexual.
Demi-pan romantic asexual. Okay. I know what that is, but there's going to be a lot of folks out there who are watching who probably will want a definition for those terms. So
Demi-romantic and pan-romantic. I have to get to know somebody before I develop feelings for them. And within that spectrum, it's not any particular gender. It could be anybody of any gender. Although I do have a personal rule against dating men. Just sorry, guys, no. But asexual, I am not sexually attracted to anybody. It is purely a emotional connection.
that makes sense. I think I feel that way. Like I wouldn't classify myself that way, but I do feel that way on a lot of days and a lot of times. Like I've maybe it's a little bit fluid for me, but yeah, I mean that's one of the letters of the alphabet. I think that's fairly underrepresented because people are always like, oh my God, how could anyone not be just crazy about sex? You know, like you're some sort of defect if you're not wanting
And I
to sleep around.
and I've gotten that from a lot of people. It's like, oh, you'll change your mind, you'll change your mind, you'll change your mind, you'll change your mind, you'll change your mind. Gen X still haven't changed
Mm,
my mind. Been here this long,
mea
haven't.
culpa. Yeah. The yeah, I made the mistake of doing that to my daughter Hermie one time, like maybe you'll change your mind, and she just looked at me and she's like, it's not a fucking phase. I'm like, okay. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, me. Like me, the advocate out here, just like doing the same thing. Well, like, like maybe you just haven't had the right one, or something like that. That's the one that pisses me off, I think, the most is when they find out that you don't like certain things, and it's like, well, just maybe you hadn't had the right dick.
And the thing about that messes with me is they always think that theirs is going to be the one to change it.
Right. Like I'm looking at this mediocre man. Like I'm like, sir, you are the very definition of mid. And yeah, it might be shaped like this.
Okay,
Yeah.
enough.
That's as far of an implication as we're gonna make.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, it's inevitably the least impressive guys who are saying that. Um but yeah, it's definitely a time to celebrate all of the colors, I think. Time to celebrate the L's, the G's if we have to. The B's do exist.
Yes, they do.
They're not just having trouble making a choice. Literally bisexuality is a whole thing.
Yeah.
Pansexuality is a whole thing. It doesn't just mean that we're trying to figure it out. It means hey, life is a big fucking buffet, and I'm not going to miss out on any of the good stuff. I'm pansexual. Um, so that means any genders, any yeah, I mean, but I'm kind of like you, Casey. I do have a rule right now against men.
Mm.
I'm attracted to them against my will, but they they talk, and that's a bad quality to
And
have.
that is one thing about being demi pan
Hmm.
is that because I have to get to know them before anything happens, romantically
Hmm.
attraction happens, then if I feel like they're getting too close, I can always pull back a little
Hmm.
and be like,
That's fair.
I'm busy, and just kind of be able to keep them somewhat at arm's length.
But Casey, you're a young woman. How can you deal without having a partner?
Well, let's see. My last partner, um, I dumped 17 years ago for cheating on me. So
You know what? I think that you've had a bit of a time to heal here.
I have.
Yeah.
I've been over it since about a year and a half after we broke up. I simply have only met one other person since then that I would have been willing to get into a relationship with, and that person was not interested. And I cannot expect other people to respect a no if I don't respect a no. So that was it.
Hmm.
That was my answer.
I feel like sometimes I'm a serial monogamist. Like I I get out of one and I'm like, okay, where's the next one? Come on. Come on, bring him on, bring him on, bring him on. Before I've had any chance to heal, and Abby has written a book about that I'm going to need to read. So,
And it's quite literally why I had to devote a year to dating myself because I have been a serial monogamous. Like,
and just never, ever giving myself, I would swear off dating. I would do that big dramatic, oh my God, I'm never dating again. I'm just going to be single from here on out. 1 month later,
Right.
every fucking time. And then
Right.
eventually I hit a dead end because it was like, I'm getting into progressively worse situations. This one took the fucking cake. Maybe it's me. Hi, I might be the problem. It's me.
And I like the idea that being aromantic or being asexual can be a thing for a while because I have had to take those steps back in my own life. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily ace. It just means that, hey, for right now, I'm off the market. I'm out of circulation.
And that's what a lot of people don't seem to understand is that there's a difference between knowing that you need to pull back for a little bit and actually being asexual.
Right, right. So I wouldn't qualify myself as asexual for that very reason because, you know, with that, and I struggled to understand that. As I had another friend who is ace and I did the thing where I was like, well, maybe you just hadn't found the right one. Yeah, I deconstructed a lot during my transition because as a masquerading man, I learned a lot of the wrong things. But yeah, it was explained to me early on that it's like, no, I just don't need the sex. Like I can have it, like, but and it can be for pleasuring the other person, and it can mean something to me. But at the same time, I don't have to. Like I don't feel the drive to. I don't chase it. So I like the fact that I know people of all these different stripes in my life, and I get to be one of those stripes, and I love it.
And I think too, I think it's important to understand that, we can have those emotional connections with people that don't have to include things on a sexual level. And we can have a connection that's in many ways
Mhm.
much more meaningful and much deeper without that, because oftentimes sex kind of confuses things, right? I mean, who hasn't been in a relationship of some kind where it's like, but the sex is really good, and
Right, but the
it's
rest of it's
like,
garbage.
right, the rest of it's garbage, but the sex becomes like this driving factor, in our decision of whether or not we stay in shitty relationships, right? And so,
Mhm.
kind of being able to just focus on what's my connection to that person, I think, is a great thing. And to kind of solidify things in many ways. And, I've seen great ace relationships where they're just they have connections. They have connections that mean a lot to them. It's just not based on sex. Um, and I have great respect for that because I think that society as a whole is still kind of wrapping their heads around it,
Mhm.
and doesn't really understand it. So I think there's more education that needs to be done, but I think it's very valid, very valid. And I think it's very toxic when we challenge people in those relationships, say, well, just haven't found the right person or da 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 da. And it's like, no. Or to shame them
Mhm.
in some way. Like it's, well, don't you miss it? And no.
I
God
feel like
forbid I have a
there's
close relationship that does not involve screwing somebody. Like, what will the world do? Oh, wait, it'll continue turning.
I feel like there's a bit of a gender gap in there too. Like men get a pass on being
Hmm.
ace because they're just a confirmed bachelor. They
Right.
haven't found the right woman to settle down with,
Right.
stuff like that. Women are looked at as defective if they're not willing to constantly give their body up to whatever man requests it.
Hmm.
And it's almost seen as being selfish even
Hmm.
like why would you not want to give this man that part of you. And I think I just from what I'm seeing, I'm speaking from an outsider looking in, but it seems to me that that would drive me crazy. Like if people were always making those accusations or questioning me in that way. And I don't
What's
And
know.
also so crazy, oh, I'm sorry.
it's okay. It's okay. Go ahead.
What's also so crazy is women get shamed for messing around with X amount of men and body count this and body count that and use up this. But then when you have someone that's like No, whether they are whether they are asexual or aromantic. No, I don't want to have sex. Some of us are just out here just want to be celibate, and then it's like, how dare you not give up your body to me? I am a man. I can do this. I can do that. I can make you. I can make you come. I can make you. Shut up. Shut up.
There's a
I
guy on the internet right now. You guys have to find that. I saw this on TikTok, I think yesterday. So it's real popular right now on everybody's FYP. I'm sure you'll see it soon, except for Abby. So I'll save the video when I come across it and I'll send it to you. But there's this guy. He and this woman went out on a date, and you see they're having an exchange. The video is the exchange that they had at the end of the date, as seen through the ring camera that she has in front of her door. And they're saying goodbye, and she's gone into the house. She's standing like inside the doorway of her home, and they're saying goodnight. And she says, it's been nice basically. And he says, "Are you sure you don't want me to come in? And you sure you don't want me to make a drink for you?" And he's like, "I can be a bartender." He's like, "I'm really good with my hands." And he's saying, and she's like, "No, that's okay. Maybe next time, right? And whatever." And he's like, "Okay," and he's got this nice tone to him, but he's just, I mean, he's being very like, "Okay." He went from that flirty kind of thing. The second the door closed, he took a step back and he starts monologuing to himself. "Oh, thank you so much for paying for the date," and da 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 da, and da 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 da. And I'm like, dude just outed himself. Like, that was his expectation, that because he had spent X amount of dollars, that he expected this girl to instantly fall into his arms and sleep with him. And, this is why we choose the bear
right.
every fucking time.
Because
And this is why we say it's all men till it's no men,
I'm sorry, but a night of passion out at Applebee's is not going to get you in my pants
Right.
What
necessarily.
those mozzarella sticks?
Right, exactly.
I've
Like,
got an air fryer. I can make them myself. God, that's how
That shit
Applebee's
right
does it.
there.
And
Right.
I
That
think
shit
it's
right there is why oh,
just
sorry.
like hard to get.
yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah, it's this idea that we have to convince people to be involved with us. And if you say no, ooh, you're this bitch, or you're this cold person,
right. How dare you
how you
turn me
how dare you
down
resist my charm,
over my 60 or
Right.
$70 I spent tonight? I'm
Right.
sorry.
Listen. I don't care if I order lobster with sautéed spinach and also $35 worth of red wine, just one glass, and sparkling water at Maestro's.
Right.
You gotta, you gotta prove your word.
Yeah.
Right. That
Cause
crab leg is
why I gotta lay down with you just because my meal was like $130 something?
that crab leg is the only thing getting sucked on tonight. Sorry.
Oh
Just
wait,
saying.
Sheila, Sheila, no,
I'm just saying,
Love it.
Sheila,
yeah.
please.
Starting early,
I
Sheila.
like Morgan is crashing out already this evening. I love it. Now I know why she went out to sit where she's sitting instead of sitting in her mama's house.
I don't think there was any question about that. We love Morgan in all her glory.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
yeah, because
do.
my mama would have been like, what, what? And I'm like, Mama, no. I'm like, oh God, I'm like, y'all. Of course, she was
Listen,
like, crab legs. What's wrong with crab legs? I'm like, Mama, don't. Yeah, I told my mama what the song. Can I get to the yams, man? And I, I would just leave it at that.
oh my God, we showed all. I mean, y'all have already showed your pussies tonight, so I mean, I don't know why I can't suck on a crab leg for God's sake.
Sheila, you can suck on whatever you want, my love.
See, there it is, right there. This is not a straight arrow right here.
Yeah, we gotta be
I'm
good.
just empowering you as a woman to just be in control of your femininity.
I plan
That's
on doing
it.
so. Yes. But yeah, that's just having that identity and just understanding, like, even if you're not ace, the fact that people think women owe sex to them because the fact that they have a a dick of some sort, and that they've spent a couple of pieces of change on you is it's very prevalent. But then and the crazy thing is you're talking about, Morgan, you were talking about how a woman can be celibate and everybody's like, what, no, why won't you sleep with me? But also at the same time, if you've had multiple partners, they're like, oh my God, it's gonna be like throwing a hot dog down a hallway.
Right.
She's worn out because I don't understand how vaginas work. And you can't win for losing in the game of not having sex. And it's
Right. And looking back now, I don't even know why we were like, oh, my body count is this and my body count is that. Now at this point, I'm like, baby, it don't matter how many people I slept with. You're not gonna be one of them. So why do you need to
that
know?
part, that part. Like it will not include you, sir.
I'm like, this is what will get you disqualified. What will bring you to the table? Black. How many? What's your body count? Black.
Oh no,
Automatic.
anybody asked me about
You're
that
fired. Disqualification. Next.
because I already know what they're gonna say when they find mine out because mine is it's on up there. But even if it was just one or two, who the fuck cares? Like, why is it your business?
But it's okay for them to be passed around like a used tissue. I can't. They're the main ones that's easy. I'm not gonna go into a rant because I said I was gonna be good for Caci. So I'm behaving.
Yeah, it'd be good for Caci.
Have explicit details coming in my ears. You know what I mean. I don't want it described in detail. I don't want to hear about who's putting what where.
Right.
Still gonna behave myself. Because me and you both know how I will take it there in the name of, first of all, who you think you're talking to.
Listen, there's been plenty of paywall stories, so
We do not need to talk about that. The book is not about Jackson. We are going to spare Caci from that. Absolutely not.
So I mean, before the show, you talked to our executive producer, Alia, and talked about some of the things that you would like to talk about. One of the things you mentioned with them is disabilities and what how you've overcome some things. So I'd ask you like what kind of things are we talking about here, and how did you do it?
Well, one I know you're familiar with is the epilepsy.
Yeah.
I had my first seizure when I was a toddler, but nobody knew it was a seizure because it was a lockout seizure. And I kept having lockout seizures my entire childhood, and no, but they used to say I had the blank stares because I would sit there and I'd be staring at something, not moving, not doing anything, and they couldn't get my attention. They couldn't get me to respond. They couldn't get me to do anything, and then I would just snap out of it, and I'd be fine. Presumptively, we don't know what was really happening at that time. But then when I was 16, I had my first grand mal seizure. And I was getting ready for school. And I remember being in the bathroom. And the next thing I know, I'm in a hospital bed. And it's like a day and a half later. And I have no idea what happened. And they put me on medications that made me very ill for a very long time. And they kept me on it and kept me on it and kept me on it, even though it was making me sick. And nobody was listening to me that I can't eat with this medication. It's making me sick at my stomach. So I finally, when I was 18, managed to get a different doctor to give me a different medication. And it was better in that I wasn't sick, but I would have these like blackout periods where I didn't know where I was or what I was doing. It was Depakote. And I got off of that when I accidentally missed a dose because I didn't know what was going on. So I couldn't remember to take a dose. And I snapped out of it. And I was at work with no memory of how I got there. And when that was reported, they finally put me on Dilantin. And I've been on that pretty much ever since. And I do still have breakthrough seizures. My sister can tell you most of them are lockouts, thankfully. It's very rare that a grand mal breaks through, but they're very physically painful, and the recovery after a grand mal in particular is a job to recover from. And I've lost jobs because of it. So my financial situation for a very long time was subpar. And I don't know if my connection just went out or if everybody's just listening.
No, you're here. You're
Okay.
here. You're listening.
Have a
We're
rapid
hanging on your
audience
every
right
word, my
now.
We are
friend.
listening.
We're entranced by what you're saying.
My phone just kind of did this thing, and I was like, "Can they hear me?"
No, you don't have to find your dryer of safety. It's okay. We're good. We're still here.
That's good because there isn't one at the house. But they finally put me on the Dilantin, and it worked pretty well. And here's an autumn. And
Oh, hello, baby. Hello, baby.
So when was the last time you had any type of seizure on any level, Casey?
I think the last one I'm aware of was a few weeks ago when we were driving past. I was actually driving home from work. Bex was in the car with me. And we pulled up, and the police were doing some kind of a road check in the middle of the night with all their lights on. And I can't be around strobe lights because they trigger seizures. And I stopped in the road because I couldn't get any closer. And I knew what was going to happen because I could feel my stomach and my whole body starting to do that mild nausea lockup thing that it does sometimes before a seizure. And Bex was like, keep your eyes shut, keep your eyes shut. And the cops are yelling at us, you can come on up. I was like, no, I can't.
So, you don't understand.
And Bex screaming at him, she's epileptic, you asshole. She's epileptic. And I had to slide into the passenger seat, and she came around and got in the driver's seat, and I just had to keep my head down until we got past. But I know I was having a mild seizure at that point. It wasn't like a full grand mal, but it wasn't one of the lockout petty malls either. It was something in between. And I think that was a few weeks ago.
So does this impact your driving? Are you not able to drive now because you had one, or?
No, I still drive. It has to be like a full grand mal seizure before they take your license for a year.
Okay.
I haven't had a full grand mal in, I think the last one was 2015, 2016. So it's they're mostly under control except for these little breakthroughs. And if I hadn't if I wasn't on the medication, that would have definitely been a grand mal. That mitigated the seizure. I know it did.
Well, and I want to clarify, something that that when we started talking about the seizures, we said, it's a phrase that I hear a lot in society is of overcoming disabilities. And, I think that that's an interesting phrase because I think the implication somehow is that, it's meant to kind of empower us. Oh, we're taking control over those things. And I think, sure, that's true to an extent. But when we have disabilities, especially like yours that we're talking about, these are lifelong conditions. It's not something that to be beaten, per se. We find ways to navigate it and kind of continue living our lives. But it's a constant. I mean, do you feel like it's a constant thing that's like a struggle for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's just one of several of my disabilities. And
can you talk a little bit more about the other things that you're living with?
Also, when I was 16, I had a flex-eating bacteria get into this eye, and it ate away my entire cornea. So this eye, if you'll see, it kind of drifts out sometimes.
I have lazy eyes too. Both I have lazy eyes, so I totally relate.
I had surgery for exotropia as a child, and then when I had the bacteria again, this eye just kind of gave up. But this cornea is all scar tissue. I can see color and movement, but I don't have any peripheral vision on that side. I use mirrors when I drive. I use mirrors. I use windows a lot as reflective surfaces to see what's going on around me. Get off the table, Autumn.
Get that pussy under control, Caci.
And there are a lot of things, because with every new disability, there comes a new set of navigation, a new set of, with the autism and the ADHD, I had to learn techniques to stay on task. I had to learn techniques for how to communicate with people. I have scripts that I go through at work. I have a series of jokes that I go through that I've memorized, recite with customers almost every time. To
So you
keep things
pre-rehearse conversations a lot, I imagine, too, in your head.
What?
You kind of rehearse conversations in your head before
Oh,
they occur. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Finding new jobs, if I have to look for a job, is the biggest obstacle, because that is the biggest drain of energy for me of anything I've had to deal with, is job hunting. Because it feels like a task that may or may not have an end. And I have to mark things by, I have made this much progress. I have made this much progress. I have made this much progress, and move it down the line. And there is no process for that with job hunting. I can't say I have turned in this many applications and I've had this many interviews and have it be an accomplishment and have it being a milestone. It's just another pile off to the side of, well, that didn't work.
Chubby Ginger in the chat, and shout out Chubby. Glad to see
Chubby
you
in the
here with
chat.
us.
Hey,
Yes.
Chubby.
It's
You
good
better
to
be
see
resting,
you
girl.
recovering and hopefully high as fuck right now, because
Right.
right. But
Yay for good
Yes.
drugs.
Chubby wanted to know, she wanted to know if she could ask if the lockout seizures caused you to get migraines after.
I have migraines anyway, so it's hard to say if they're related to the seizures or not. There is a correlation between having a seizure, lockout or otherwise, and having migraines. But I have migraines almost every week.
Okay.
That's so, yeah, but I don't know if it's connected.
I can only imagine how that feels. You know, the seizures, of course, my daughter's going through those right now. She's epileptic, as well as dealing with a brain injury. She talked about that a little bit on our show last week. But you know, going through two in the course of one weekend, and one that happened very publicly on Cimarron's live the other night, and just um I think she described it during the event as her brain felt weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the first thing
So
she said. She popped up and said it felt
yeah,
weird.
and I can't imagine, like, this is one reason why I quit drinking, because I didn't like it when I don't like it when my brain feels weird.
Yeah.
You know, like but and that I can stop drinking and that's all fixed. But then times when your brain just attacks itself, when your body just goes, you're going this way and your body's like, no, I'm going this way. I mean, that the way that feels, like, in my limited experience, is just it's stressful. It's hard to understand, like, if you've never been through it. So I have no real concept of what you struggle with every day. That's got to be, it's got to be big, but you are keeping it going there. You
You don't
do.
have a choice. You don't have
Right.
a choice. You either keep moving forward and you deal with it and you address it and you create routines and things to keep yourself safe, and you create rules to keep yourself safe and to handle what comes up
Mhm.
as it comes up, or you just curl up and you don't do anything, and then what's the point?
Sure.
And I
Yeah.
think too, it's important to understand this too, that if I could make any analogy, I think, given, everybody that has different conditions and all the way that they impact our lives and our bodies, especially, we're kind of all born and grow up with some type of battery, right? Emotional battery, social battery, physical battery, where it's, our brain and our bodies can tolerate so much before we're like, okay, I'm done. Right.
Mhm.
So like Casey, I know we always tease you about your phone, because it drains its battery really quickly, but I'm curious if you could kind of equate it like in those like in that kind of term where like how long does a battery last between like the autism and the seizures and the things that you struggle with day to day, like my battery for say, or I should say someone without those conditions, their battery might last all day, right? They get home, they work a full day, they come home, they stay up, they go to bed at, 10 or 11, at night, and then they recharge, right? And then they wake up the next day and they're good. For you, like, how could you describe your battery and all the different things that you I don't want to say struggle with because I think that you
Or like
live very well with those things. I think that you do as well as anyone could do with everything that's thrown at you. How long do you see your battery last, like, day to day? I'm sure it varies for you, but
it does vary, and it varies a lot depending on what's going on. Like if we're having a really busy day at work, I have nothing when I get home. I come in and I crash on the crash here on the couch in front of the TV. I'll pick up a game controller and I'll just zone out for a while. And then I kind of fall into bed and Beth has to go, "Have you eaten?" And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "I'm throwing a chicken patty in the air fryer." So there's a lot of little things like that that'll happen. Like, but if it's been like a light day at work, I might come home. We'll watch a movie. We'll hang out. We'll do whatever. Um, so it really varies a lot depending on what my health is doing that day. Um, what happened at work that day. Uh,
how do the social interactions impact your battery for you?
it again depends. Like right now at work, if I'm dealing with customers at work, it drains a lot faster. Partially because I am in Alabama, and it's gotten to the point where every time somebody comes in, depending on if they're coming in from a red state or a blue state, I'm looking at them wondering, if you knew who I was, what would you do with me if you had
Mhm.
to do so?
Mhm.
And I don't know why that thought just suddenly hit me and made me start thinking that with every customer, but it did at some point.
You have
That's
to.
very draining because most of them are from the South. They're traveling from one place in the South to another place and most of the South is red.
I have to calculate that in every interaction of my day-to-day life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just like, because I don't have the luxury of hiding. Um, so I always have to think when somebody's coming up, I'm like, okay, what's this interaction gonna end up like? Like, how is this gonna go? And yeah, I can only imagine. Like, yeah, I think in the South, if I, and I'm Southern, um, there are a lot of people like us there, but we're
But
not able to speak it.
we can't connect with each other because we can't say anything.
That part, yeah, exactly. Like seeing, like even being in Memphis and being a trans woman going around, it's not honestly even in Ohio. It's very much still it's very much still, well, you're out, and that's either going to end one of two ways for you, or one of three ways. I'd say either the people are going to be very accepting, very hateful, or they're just going to walk past you and not paying any attention to you at all, which honestly, that's the one I prefer.
Yeah.
I prefer the, hey, you know what? We didn't have to speak. We didn't speak. We passed like two ships in a night and we will never see each other again. That's my favorite interaction
Mm.
when I'm out in public. But yeah, it's stressful. I can imagine. And you're seeing people sometimes, I guess, it's you know, you work at a hotel,
Yeah.
so you're seeing people sometimes at their worst. They're
Oh,
tired, they're ready to go to bed. Their their card might have gotten mixed up. Their reservation might not have been the one they thought it was, and
They
they're
could have gotten
they did
lost for
the wrong.
half an hour before they got there.
right. So they got there, and now here's this person at the desk that I can abuse and feel better about myself somehow.
And a lot of them do. And like I had this one guy right after the election come in wearing his little red MAGA hat, and I'm all tensed up because of course I was. Um,
Right.
and he goes, something about, well, aren't you glad he got back in? And I was like, sir, I don't talk politics at work. He goes, oh, is that a policy? And he's all getting up in my face. And I was like, it's my policy. And he kind of sneers at me, goes, well, maybe that's for the best. And he goes on after his room. But I was like, you got to go.
Right.
I
I'm
don't care if
sorry.
your room or
My
go to hell, but you got to go away from my desk.
right. I'm sorry, but that I don't make my whole entire personality about this one guy who used to be the host of The Apprentice. Like, I'm sorry that you didn't have anything else going for you, that you had to adopt that as your whole persona. Like, what did they do before?
But again, it's a perfect example of a strong woman setting a boundary and a guy getting pissed off because she said she want to talk about something. And what
Right.
was his response? Did he politely decline and go, "Oh, okay, I'm so sorry. Have a good night"?
She's like,
No, he did not. He
no.
responded with aggression and got in her face.
He was entitled to her time and
Exactly.
her indulgence and
Mm-hmm.
her agreement, honestly. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was he was and you set that boundary and he was like, "What?"
Right.
Here
Like
you
no,
say,
I'm not used to people saying no to me. I find that happens a lot with pastors. Like if you're ever having a discussion with an evangelical pastor, they're not used to people interrupting their sermons. Like they're not used to counterpoints or fact checking. And then when you do, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't follow through my script now. What do I do? Oh my God, I'm completely thrown out of my element here. So
I always equate that to when I watched Young Sheldon and he's in the middle of watching the sermons and he just comes up with these great
I love that.
questions, right?
Yes.
Fabulously. I'm like, yes, that's exactly what should happen in real life.
And
As adults, we need to ask the Young Sheldon questions and hold them accountable, in
like,
church every time.
you're in church, you have your phone with you. You have the accumulated knowledge of the universe right here in your hand. You can fact check this motherfucker while he's speaking. Like, why don't you? Like just why don't you? We are at the top of the hour here, so I do want to pause for a bit of station identification. This is Hurricane Girls. You are watching us on youtube.com at Hurricane Girls. Later on tonight, you will be listening to us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And occasionally, you might catch this show being rerun on WHGR Hurricane Girls Radio, all Hurricane Girls 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in case you really hate yourself and want to hear our voices all the time. Just kidding. They're good shows. Go listen to them. It's a good way to get caught up on past episodes is to just have a random one thrown out at you every once in a while. I tend to sleep to the voices because it feels like my friends are talking to me. That's
Are
not
the
weird or
voices in your head
anything.
talking to you, Sheila, right now? The voices in your head
We
talking
were
to you?
supposed to keep that between you and me, Miss Therapist. Okay? You're violating my HIPAA right
I love
now.
you.
Look, it's not about
No,
Jackson.
no, no. We are the daughters of darkness, the sisters of rage. We are the goddesses curse against mediocre men. We are nature's happy little accidents. We are motherfucking Hurricane Girls. I am here with Hurricane Abby, author of The Year of Dating Myself, coming out in July from Simon and Schuster. I'm here with Hurricane Cimarron. I have wonderful big little sister. and occasional therapist. And here with my somebody who will hopefully be my accountant one day, Hurricane Morgan from all the way from Texas here. So we've gone all the way from New Hampshire, Ohio, Illinois, Texas, and then on to Alabama, where our guest Caci Taylor comes from. And we're going to talk a little bit more about I want to get into some secrets and tips. Since you work at a hotel, maybe you got some things that you can recommend to us and some other things here in the next hour. But it is Pride. It's Pride Month. And as we often do on these special months, we're going to each week of the month of Pride, we're going to spotlight various members and important things about LGBTQIA plus Pride. And tonight, I have the honor of presenting the first installment of this series. So it is Pride Month, y'all. It's a time to celebrate all things queer, a time for every letter of the ever-growing acronym to take a moment to revel in our queerness, as well as to reflect on our ability, or in some cases, inability, to live our lives as authentically as we can. It's a time of colors, parades, and corporations who would normally give less a shit about us selling us merch with cute little slogans that were probably designed by some soon-to-be Terminator AI in China. But let us never forget that the first Pride was a motherfucking riot. March with me back to the 28th of June, 1969, New York City. Gay rights at this point were little more than a pipe dream. Same-sex relationships were against the law in any form because obviously, if you legislate identities and behaviors, they'll go away. Am I right? Police raids on bars that catered toward the queer population were a regular thing, and the Stonewall Inn, one of the most popular queer hotspots, would experience them at least once a month. This, by the way, is why it's no cops at Pride. I said what the fuck I said. Like many businesses in New York City at the time, the inn was mafia owned, and the owners were often tipped off about the raids ahead of time. And but what did they really care? Honestly, the Stonewall Inn was turning a profit, and really, who gives a shit if a few of the patrons were harassed, beaten, or incarcerated? Money talks and bullshit walks was the ethos of those who ran such establishments, and what difference does one faggot here or there make? Except this night. This night was not going to be so easy because some drag queens, trans women, and gender non-conforming people had a whole ass full of being mistreated and they were ready to fuck shit up. That night in Greenwich Village, there was resistance, and it would rage on for 6 days. The cops busted into Stonewall Inn, arrested bartenders for selling liquor without a license, physically assaulted people, threw everybody out of the bar. They arrested any person around who was not wearing the legally required 3 articles of gender appropriate clothing. Yes, that was a criminal statute in New York at that time. And if you think that isn't on the minds of fascists today, let me continue. Usually during these raids, people would quickly scatter and go home. Gay men could go back to their privilege of being able to hide in their bathhouses and office spaces. Lesbians could still have their sneaky links when their husbands were at work, but the one group that could never really hide out in the open were trans and gender non-conforming folks. And it was time to make some fucking noise. There's some disagreement over who threw the first brick, but undeniably the charge was led by pissed off trans women, drag queens, and folks who refused to be defined by a binary. One name that's often brought up, and this is I hope I say this right, Stormy Delavery. If I said it wrong, just look over me. I'm not good at pronouncing names, but an experienced victim of violence, an orphan and a person of light skin, mixed race heritage, Stormy was no stranger to oppression. They were a lover of women, and they lived as a black man, with their partner. They were assigned female at birth, but they lived as a black man with their partner Diana for 26 years. Stormé never called themselves a lesbian, though, and in direct contradiction to the current MAGA theory that pronouns have only recently become a thing, as far back as the 60s, when asked about it, Stormé would never stick to any particular set, preferring that people call them whatever that person felt most comfortable saying. She, her, he, him, they, them. They were good with any of those. Stormé was many things. Like many gender nonconformists of the time, adapting to change was a survival skill. And at various times, a drag queen, a drag king, excuse me, a bouncer, an entertainer, and all of those things led to their presence at Stonewall that fateful night. Transphobes will usually like to use Stormé as proof that trans women or drag queens weren't actually the ones that started the riot. Stormé themselves was always open about the fact that they were at the riot and that, yeah, they punched the fuck out of the cop that hit them from behind, like the badass that they were. But they were also very quick to say that they weren't the one that threw the first brick. They would only say, I know who that was, but I'm not telling. Badass that they were. Stormé would go on to live out their life as an activist, often without taking credit, and was awarded a Lifetime Achievement Award by the Senior Action in Gay Environment organization. And then there's Sylvia Rivera, who at age 17 allegedly threw the second Molotov cocktail at Stonewall. She had come from a hard life, also an orphan. She knew early on that she liked wearing makeup. And as someone who was assigned male at birth, that didn't please her grandmother all that much. So by the age of 10 or 11, depending on the accounts, she was homeless. She had left home and she got by selling her body for sex, living on the streets until she was taken in by a group of local drag queens. Once again, transphobes like to discredit the idea of Sylvia Rivera even being present at the start of the riots, but multiple credible sources do agree that she was there and instrumental in the forefront of the uprising. Rivera herself freely admitted, though, that she did not start it. She would go on to co-found the group Street Transvestites Action Revolutionaries, STAR, and the Gay Liberation Front. She would eventually leave activism for 20 years when the gay rights bill became New York state law in 1986, but famously, of course, left out trans people. She passed away from cancer in 2002. And then there's Marsha P. Yes, Marsha P. Johnson, who after graduating high school would move to New York City and began dressing exclusively in women's clothing. Now, given that this was illegal at the time, she was left to support herself, and primarily through sex work. Much of Marsha's attire was sourced from thrift shops, but she was well known for her extravagant outfits and her florid crowns. Now, some retellings of the Stonewall story have Marsha throwing a shot glass at a mirror. Others tell of her dropping a very heavy bag onto the windshield of a police car from her vantage point on a lamppost. Johnson herself stated that she did not start the riot, but arrived after badass Stormé had punched the fucking pig in his stupid fucking pig face. Whether or not she threw the shot glass heard around the world or not, she was instrumental in the uprising and saw it through to the end. Marsha lived a life of activism, co-founding STAR with Sylvia Rivera, and even though the pride marches of later years would ban drag queens and transgender people, she would simply march out in front of the parade, a tradition that this particular trans woman carries on. I am never a registered participant of the parade, but you better believe I'm marching in it every goddamn time. And Marsha was arrested more than 100 times in her life. She lived the rest of her life hustling and in poverty. She'd contract AIDS in 1990 and in 1992 was found floating in the Hudson River with a head wound, which is, of course, ruled a suicide because of fucking course it was. We may never know exactly who started the riot. Stormé knows, but has the distinct disadvantage of being deceased and no longer able to tell us. But in all honesty, the identity of the first person to throw the brick or shot glass or punch or what the hell ever is just simply not important. The important point is that trans folk, non-binary people, and drag queens, the names of whom have been lost to time, but whose impact cannot be forgotten, finally got sick of the shit and started making things be on fire. Stonewall was not the first act of resistance, nor was it the last. But it was the most tangible event that would spark the Pride movement and birth the revolutionaries who would fight the fights that led to laws being passed and gay rights being a thing. So to all the L's, the G's, and the B's, you're fucking welcome. It's a little wonder, though, that the T's are the ones being receiving the most hate from the neo-fascists who want to take us back to those times. Because we were the ones who showed we were not to be fucked with. We were the ones who had fuck all else to lose and finally hit back when we were pushed into the corners. They know that groups like us that have depleted our fucks to give will eventually rise up in the face of oppression, and it scares them to death. They see the ghosts of Marcia, Sylvia, and Storme, and they know that honey badgers ain't got shit on a pissed off T-girly. And we need to remind them of that every goddamn day. So happy Pride, everyone. And while you're celebrating, don't forget who made it possible. Thank you. And that's my bit on Pride for this week. We'll come back with another segment next week. Right now, gonna say hey to Hurricane Liz, who has joined us here.
Hey.
Elizabeth Lavas, author of Anne Boleyn, History in Portraits, and several other books as well. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you with us. We are here visiting with Caci Taylor here, one of our dear close friends. And before the break, before the station ID, we were talking about hotels. So, being that you work in a hotel and that some of us stay in hotels from time to time, what are some like secrets, tips, and maybe you can share some stories of working at a hotel that might that most people might not know or be aware of.
Okay, well, the first, as far as tips and tricks, the first thing you want to do is if there is a hotel that has a loyalty program like the big chain hotels, sign up for them because those do get you a discount. It's not always a huge discount, but $5 is $5. The next thing you want to do is ask them if they're affiliated with any of the local restaurants, because sometimes if you have a hotel key card, if a restaurant is affiliated and they see you have the key card and you're staying in that hotel, you can get a discount on your food. Be nice to the desk clerks because they're the ones that know the area. They're the ones that know what's going on in the area. And if you're rude to them, they're not going to tell you things that you might be interested in. They're not going to tell you about the loyalty program. They're not going to tell you about the restaurant affiliations. So be nice. As far as stories go, I've got several of some guests that were interesting.
Spill the tea.
Yes, we need tea.
The best story is about this woman who came in, had a reservation at the hotel I was working at that time, and she had arrived in a taxi full of stuff. And she went back and forth in this taxi 5 times and had it loaded down with stuff every time, taking it into her room. And I called her because when I tried to run her card, the system had initially showed that it had gone through, but then came back with an error message that it had actually declined. There was a reader error in the machine that read her card. So I called her room and said, "Ma'am, I need you to come give us a different card. This one's not any good." And she put me off and put me off and put me off for hours. And she kept saying, "Well, I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get it. I'm going to go get it." Well, finally, after I'd already called the police to come and get her out of the room, she comes down. I'm like, "Ma'am, you're going to have to go." And she's like, "I'm going to get the money right now. I'm going to go get it right now." And she had a luggage cart full of bags of brand new clothes with tags on them. Yeah, I see your face, Sheila. Yes. And she was going across the street to Walmart with our luggage cart and all these bags of stuff that was new. And I follow her because the cops are already on their way. I'm not worried about her doing anything. And I follow her out to the parking lot, and she's going across the Mexican restaurant in front of our hotel and heading across the 4 lane. Well, she gets to about the edge of the Mexican restaurant, and about that time, the lights and sirens are coming our way. And this guy comes out, and he looks at me, and he goes, did she steal your luggage cart? And I was like, yep. And he goes, are you gonna stop her? And I said, nope.
Mhm.
And she hears the lights and sirens. Oh, Autumn. And this little old hunch lady with the luggage cart goes, and it starts like scooting, shuffling her feet across. She couldn't get anywhere. My
Mhm.
theory is that she had stolen all of that stuff from one Walmart and was going to try and turn it in at the other Walmart as a refund, pretend she couldn't find her receipt and get money for the hotel. But I can't prove that. But we went up to her hotel room to get all her stuff out because there's no way she was staying. And it was full. She had a corner of the bed not even big enough for me to lay down on. And every other inch of that hotel room was covered in junk. Just junk. So the cops are having to get her out of there. And I'm having to call all the other hotels and warn them that she might be coming their way.
The cat is going nuts over there.
I have a question. How long was she there to have accumulated all of that?
She made 5 different trips in a taxi with all of these items. She
To
was there.
check into the hotel.
Yeah, she was there for like 4 hours.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know how she paid for the cab.
Right.
Because if she can't pay the hotel, how is she going to pay what I'm sure is clearly a multi-$100 bill back and forth with all this stuff to move all this junk?
Apple gift cards, probably.
I don't know.
Well, and I think you said too, you talked about the importance of being nice to your desk clerks, and I think one of the questions I had heard that basically every hotel or most hotels basically do keep a running profile of their customers in the computer, right? And
Oh, we
so,
do.
you come
Mhm.
back, they're going to know how you treated people the last time you were there. And,
For sure.
your front desk person's going to be typing away and letting them know. So it's going to come back to haunt you if you come back at a later time.
Hospitals have a DNR list on people that don't
Mhm.
want to be resuscitated. We have our own DNR list. Do not rent.
Okay. I
And
like it.
we will put it in the profile if they've been there before. Autumn, if you don't let go of my hand, I'm going to kick you in the face.
You put that in their file. Okay.
Right.
Absolutely, if they do something, we put it in there. And if they mess up enough, it's do not rent. We recently had somebody at the hotel I work at now who was there with his company, and they kept extending and kept extending and kept extending until they had a $5,000 bill that we couldn't get approval for. And we had to
Mhm.
approve it $100 at a time, $150 at a time, $50 at a time, over and over and over until we got the full $5,000
Oh,
paid.
that's a pain in the ass right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it had to have
Oh,
taken front office manager hours. It had
that's
hours.
I think like it cannot be understated how much you have to be nice to people who are in service positions to you. Like I know that's counterintuitive. And oh my God, Sam is in the room. Hey,
Sam!
Sam.
Sam!
Hey, how are you doing?
Doing well.
I see a bandage here. What's going on?
Just the EEG stuff.
Okay. All right. How you feeling?
Good.
Good. We shouted you out at the beginning of the show, so I'm glad to see you here. We are, gosh, I've been thinking about you. I still have candles burning back there.
Thank you.
Yeah. My daughter Sam, everybody. We're talking about customer service stories and specifically hotel stories, but I think that it's absolutely imperative that you treat people who are in service industries well. Because first of all, if they're bringing you your food, what are you doing? Like, don't fuck with people who are fucking with your food. And but second of all, like you said, if you're nice to the people who are working with you, they may know something that you don't yet know that they can let you in on. I can speak to that from working in customer service myself. There are things that I know that I can do that the customer hasn't quite yet explored yet that I could just, I could be forthcoming and do it. But if you're going to be an asshole, that's never gonna come up, first of all. Like I'm never gonna offer you, well, I could refund this, or I could send you out this complimentary product, or I could do something like that. If you're an asshole, all that stuff goes away. But then if you're kind, reasonable, stuff like that, I'm like, hey, maybe let me cut you a break over here, or let me tell you about this feature over here that you didn't know about. And I love that because you're definitely the one who knows about, like the Mexican restaurant across from your hotel. Like, you got the good recs, that you can give them. If they're in town, you can save a whole lot of time
And not only a whole lot of
and
time,
money.
warn them away from the places that are bad.
That part.
I'm not going to tell you about the barbecue place that doesn't cook their food all the way through.
Or conversely,
Tell me,
if
if you
you're
you come in and tell me that I need to do something for you and I better do it right now. Okay, fine. You go to that restaurant I hate. I'll recommend you.
conversely, if you're a
I'll,
dick, I might send you to that barbecue restaurant so you can have diarrhea all night.
Oh, I have a hotel story
Mhm.
if y'all don't mind hearing. Well, Casey, it's a good thing you mentioned it's good to be nice to people. So this is what happened. 2019, my grandmother passed away, and obviously, we no longer live in my hometown because Hurricane Harvey. So pretty much all of us, we all were in hotels for my grandmother's funeral. So we're at the Comfort Inn Suites. At the time, I'm working at prison, and I remember that I had like a whole bunch of perks. Now I didn't tell my sister and them this, so my sister, had the money to pay the bill. I had complimented the front desk clerk, and I was like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and I was like, "Don't mind my disposition. And so I was like, "Hey, I work at the prison. Can I use my ID so we can get a discount?" And so she was like, "Absolutely." She did that grin like, "Absolutely." Me, not me. I'm thinking, okay, 10-20% off. No, we got that bitch half off. Baby, I looked at baby. My sister was like, "Shit." We had some extra money. And then she was like, "Are you okay? Do you need any extra towels?" I'm like, "Okay." Yeah.
I'm after medicine very quickly. I will be right back.
Okay.
Okay. But
Take
yeah,
your
baby,
time.
everybody say half off.
Yeah, it's half off. Like, there's
And no, I didn't tell the rest of the family shit.
I just don't see the point in being mean to somebody who can't really control it. Like, if you're talking to most people, most employees
Right.
don't set the policies for their place of work. They don't set the rules. They're doing what they're told to do, and they're doing what they can do. And if they can't do it, they can't fucking do it.
I'm just a
So,
delivery boy. Like, don't come after me.
right, exactly. Yeah.
You just reminded me of another one.
Uh-oh. What's going on?
Spill the tea.
I had this guy call. This was several years ago, and very arrogant tone. He goes, "Yes, I need to see if you have any rooms available this evening." And he actually did talk like this. I'm not.
Like a vampire?
He spoke like this, and I said, "Sir, I'm sorry, we're sold out this evening." And he goes, "Oh, well, what about for a diamond member?" And I was like, "Sir, it doesn't matter what tier you are. We don't have in the hotel to sell you." He goes, "Oh, well, that's disappointing." And he hangs up. And I think nothing of it. It's like, well, whatever, dude. And if you don't quit on him, And not 20 minutes later, he calls back thinking he's going to get somebody different who's going to give him a different answer. And he goes, I was wondering if you had any verbatim the same conversation. I had this conversation with him 7 times on the phone. And then he shows up in person, walks in the door, and I know it's him because of the way he talks. And he goes, I was wondering if you had any rooms available for this evening. I was like, sir, I have spoken with you time after time after time this evening. We don't have anything to sell you. Oh, well, what about for a diamond member? And I just about lost it. I was hanging on by a thread. I was like, sir, I do not have the ability to build a hotel room just to sell you for the evening. We are sold out. He goes, I can't believe you don't hold any rooms out for diamond members.
Wow.
Sir, even
Diamond
if you did,
members.
you would be one of like 30 diamond members that I have on this premises right now tonight. The
Why don't
other
you see if they'll
30
bunk with you?
did that.
Right.
It's, well, I'll just have to call corporate. And I said, sir, you do that.
Good
I
luck.
can't believe
Tell them I
diamond.
said hi.
I'm saying diamond like that from now on. Diamond.
I wonder if he, before entering the premises, if he would have just waited to be invited in.
Right. Like I'm waiting for the bellboy.
Right? Exactly.
I mean, just the level of arrogance. It's like, why, if I've told you multiple
check your blood pressure.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you talked about with our executive producer Alia, that
It's all
I
right.
found very interesting
So I
was
got
that
the some sort of bow tie noodle, and then I also got some sweet potatoes.
You know, their salmon is pretty good
I'm gonna go
actually.
ahead
Do you
and
like
mute Sam for a second while she's dealing with her nurse here. But you work with the Escape Abuse Network.
I did in
You
my
did?
mid-20s.
In your mid-20s, you worked with them.
That organization that I was involved with directly closed down about 6 months after I joined it.
Okay.
But there's a lot of framework in there that I can't help but wonder if we could recreate it for people now trying to escape some of these states that are not safe. And unfortunately,
What would that involve?
well, unfortunately, the internet has changed a lot since then. And I say unfortunately because it was a lot harder then to track what everybody was doing when and so on the internet at that time. And we had the way this network worked is we have what we would call outcry witnesses, which is what I volunteered as. And it would be my job to be online in the hours that I was assigned. And if there was an outcry from anyone anywhere on the internet that came to us, it's like, I'm in this state, I'm in this city, I need help, I have to get away from this person, I'm in danger. It would be my job to find contacts that are in that area to go and make contact with them. And from there, that person would involve other people like lawyers and so forth, people who could help move them. And we would pull them out of these situations and take them to safe areas and safe cities and safe shelters in some cases. But we would get them away. That was our primary objective, was to get people away. And one of the most interesting cases I worked on, it's actually how I met my ex, was a minor child whose mother was dead, whose father had never been in the picture, whose stepfather had custody of her, and he was making her sleep in the shed. And I mean a shed, a wooden shed in the backyard. She described it to me, and the runner who went and picked her up and stayed with her described it to me. And it was like a lean-to that she was living in. And she had essentially borrowed a friend's laptop and pirated the neighbor's internet to get online to get help. And we couldn't even move her immediately because she was minor with no accompanying adult, because that would legally have been kidnapping. We had to get a children's advocacy lawyer involved to go with our runner to stay with her until the paperwork and CPS could be contacted to pull that little girl out of that environment. And that lawyer that we contacted, children's advocacy lawyer, was a woman near Seattle, not in Seattle, but near Seattle. And she was the lawyer, and she had me fly out to bear witness in court as the outcry witness for this child, contacting help and tell her what, because I was the first person she reached out to, and they had to know what I knew. And Zoom was not a thing then. So they had to physically fly me out, and the hotels, for whatever reason, I don't know if there was an event or something in town, were full. And I ended up staying at this lawyer's house in her guest room. And that's how I met her. And we were friends for 2 years before we fell into a relationship. And she's also ace, or told me she was ace. And we were together for 3 years. So I got a lot out of that network. But the most important thing was the framework of how to handle certain situations with minors and so forth. And some of the framework, I think, could be repeated now, with the adults at least, moving an adult in an unsafe environment through a network online. But we would have to find somebody that knows how to do the encryptions to protect the people's identities, to keep people. And I don't know how we would go about vetting people now. But there's a lot of framework there that I think could almost, in some ways, be copied and pasted and just updated.
I feel like that's going to be an important thing if things get worse, as it is right now. Yeah, exactly. That's basically what that is. And like if anti-trans laws continue on the pace that they're continuing, it may come a time when out of Texas and Florida and states like that kind of escape needs to be done. But that definitely is something for battered women, children, things like that. And you may have used a bit of those skills in your own sister.
I did. I definitely did. Because the situation she was in with, I literally, I don't address this woman by name. She's the Harpy. Had custody of my sister since she was 4 years old. And we didn't even find out about each other until we were both on TikTok. And that's another thing. The same way I met Morgan through JC, that's how I met Bex. That's how I found her. We were commenting on a lot of the same videos, and we got to talking, and there was a moment where she was kind of down about something, and she was recording a video in her room, and I saw the Cabbage Patch dolls on the wall behind her, on the bed behind her. And I was like, okay, I'm going to cheer this girl up. And I did a video saying, well, I'm going to show you something happy and see if it helps you. And I showed her a video of some of my Cabbage Patch dolls. Most of them are packed up right now, but I do have 2 of them out here. I've got Myrtle Daphne and Ripsy Ann. And I showed her that video, and it did cheer her up. And we got to talking a little bit more, the same like you and me. And we started comparing notes and names and places and different things. And we figured out slowly, holy fuck, we're sisters. We didn't know about each other until TikTok. And
that's
then
amazing.
As I started realizing the situation that she was in, I was like, we got to get you out of there. We have got to get you out of there, because that Harpy would be screaming at her and yelling at her and berating her, where I could hear her when we were on the phone together. And I was like, there's no way I can leave her down there. And then this is going to sound weird, but luckily Hurricane Melvin happened. Because we had been planning for a while to pull her out of there. We didn't initially plan for her to come to me. There was another place that she was initially going to go. I'm not going to name names there because I don't know if they would want to be mentioned on podcast or not. But there was another friend that she was going to go to initially, and she had been planning it for a while, but couldn't figure out how to get out. And I was like, in the middle of this hurricane, and she was starting to panic, and it wasn't like her to panic for over a hurricane. And I was like, this might be our only chance. And I said, I want you to pack up the car, and I want you to come to me. And I gave her the address of my hotel. And I called my manager. And we got her a room. And I was initially, she couldn't find gas. She couldn't find anywhere that had gas. And I thought I was going to have to drive down there and get her. Fortunately, another person on TikTok was covering a lot of the weather and a lot of the things, and I was saying if anybody needs help, and he found us a place that had gas near her, and she was able to get gas and get out, because otherwise I would have had to drive 10 hours down there, and we may or may not have made it out before the hurricane hit. So it was just by sheer dumb luck that we happened to find the right person at the right moment, and she was able to get out of there and up here without the harpy finding out where she was going. She didn't find out that Bex had left until Bex was out of town and almost out of the state. So that was a relief to get her out of there. But again, like you say, a lot of those skills from the EAN crossed over, because I do know how to go online and be like, approach strangers and be like, I have an emergency. Do you know anything that can help? You are in this area. Do you have any resources? Do you know something I don't? And that's what it took, and that's what happened, and that's how we got her out.
Well, we definitely do know people who are still doing things like that. Chubby Ginger was pointing that out in the content, that thing on YouTube comments. Yeah, I can talk. And Greg was pointing out that it's probably not a if but a when situation of when people are going to need to be moved. But I think you've established your street cred as somebody who is safe, and I think particularly around trans women and vulnerable populations. And Morgan, your laptop's going. You have a good night. We love you.
Yeah.
Night,
I'll see y'all later.
All right,
Bye.
darling. Love you. But yeah, so I heard that there was a time a couple of years ago that you had to defend a few trans friends in a bathroom.
Well, it was really just me and my one friend who was trans. Her partner wasn't with us that day, but we had my cousin with us.
I was going to make it this huge, big action scene with ninjas and everything else, but what happened there?
Well, we were out shopping for Christmas. It was 2 years ago, 2023. And sorry, Bex was asking if I took my medicine. And we were out shopping, just doing Christmas shopping. And we had my cousin with us, and we were in the mall. And we had been out all day. So, of course, at some point you have to go to the bathroom. There's no way around it. And at that time, this particular friend, it was sort of mid-transition. She had a very androgynous outward appearance to her. And she stopped in front of the bathroom doors and was looking back and forth between them like she wasn't sure what to do. And I was like, you're coming with us. Like, there's no question there. You're coming with us. If you're in there and something happens, there's nothing we can do about it. You would be by yourself. You're coming with me. And so we kind of, I sent Lyric in first to see if there was anybody in there, and there wasn't. So I let my friend go in second, and I kind of brought up the rear. And it was very fortunate that we had done that, because some rando guy had seen us doing this from the moment she paused at the doors. And he followed us into the women's room.
Oh boy.
And he tries to confront her, and I'm like, So she's trying to keep my cousin behind her because my cousin is mini me. She's my mini me. She will attack. She will lead with the teeth. And honestly, if she had released her, Lyric would have handled it. But she was trying to keep my cousin behind her because she thought she was keeping her safe. And I'm between my friend and this jerk. And he's trying to push me out of the way. He's got his hands on me, trying to push me, the woman he's supposedly trying to protect, out of the way so that he can get to my friend. And he's screaming and yelling at her, and she's just kind of shrinking back, trying to keep Lyric behind her. And at some point, enough was enough, and I just pulled out the mace and I hit him with it. And it was the gel mace, and I got him right in the eyes. And he
Love
started
it.
screaming, and then it went right in his mouth.
Perfect.
And I didn't stop until that canister was empty. I was choking on it by the time I was done. But a security cop from the mall, a security guard from the mall, heard him screaming and came in and was like, what the hell just happened here? And I said, he attacked us. And I'm pointing at this guy that we just pepper sprayed. I'm like, he attacked me and my friend and my cousin. And of course, the cop was like, he is very clearly a man in the men's restroom. He is not androgynous. He is a man in the women's restroom.
That part, right?
So, the guard kind of grabs him by the scruffs, drags him out, and he's now banned from the mall for I don't even know how long, but definitely at least a year.
That's the crazy shit that drives me crazy. Like he's there to protect women from men in the bathroom, but yet he's a whole ass man in the bathroom. Coming
Attacking two women and a little girl.
make that make sense for me, please. Because I don't think that it can. I feel like every one of y'all, I would feel safe being in the bathroom around them. Whereas y'all, I mean, I carry my gun with me everywhere I go. So good luck getting at me at the bathroom.
Right.
I will make sure that you leave with more holes than you came in with. Um, but a lot of, I think that's a kindness that not every trans woman gets is to have someone who will go with them in the bathroom and who is willing to unload a whole ass can of mace in somebody's face to make sure that he doesn't hurt her.
And my biggest fear would have been, what if she had gone into that other bathroom and he followed her in there?
I mean, who knew, right?
N-
I think some people are looking for a fight.
Right. I mean, and he would have. He would have, because if he
Mhm.
followed us, the three of us together, three people into the women's restroom, he would have certainly followed a single person into the men's.
We keep hearing more and more about cases where and I hate that we make these the example because like we keep hearing more and more about cis women who are being mistaken for trans women and who are getting attacked in bathrooms. And I hate that we focus on these stories because the story shouldn't be, well, gosh, this harms the cis community too. The story should be, hey, stop fucking doing that to trans women. Like regardless of whether cis women get caught in the splashback or not, it's happening to human fucking beings.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the part that I'm constantly like, like we talked about the boxer, in the Olympics. They're like, well, she was discriminated against and she's cis. Okay, it's still not good to discriminate against anybody, period. Anyway, like, but we can only make these stories palatable if we make them, oh, this affects the cis people. Now we have to be worried about it. Before we weren't because fuck the trans women, but it affects us now, and so it's a problem. But yeah, I mean, I I love that there are these big warriors. I don't really like, I think most of the ones who threaten me online, and there's been a few, Most of them are just keyboard warriors who would never show up. But there's always that one true believer who's gonna let Donald Trump get his ass kicked.
By 5 foot tall.
Right. By 5 foot tall, by 5 foot tall cis woman who happened to be carrying mace. The fact that it got in his eyes and then he screamed and it went in his mouth, I was like, oh my God, I'm dead. I love it. I fucking love it.
I saw his mouth open. I'm like, oh, okay.
There you go.
I
Taste the
want
rainbow. Oh my God. But I would feel safe with any one of you, Sam, Liz, Abby, Tim, Casey. I would feel safe going into a bathroom with any of y'all, and y'all can feel safe going
Yep.
in with me because I'm gonna fucking come out shooting.
Yep.
But also I've said this many, many times, like if somebody was to be attacked in the bathroom, it would be really good for you to have a 6 foot tall, 230 pound trans woman in the room, in the bathroom with you to kick his ass.
Hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, if I hear some bullshit going on in the bathroom, I'm coming in there and stopping it. Like, regardless of whether it's me or somebody else. People haven't thought this thing through.
Some of us little shorties can fight though.
Listen, I would not fuck with you for 1 minute, Liz.
It's like the smallest ones. Some of
I
us hit
feel
harder.
if
Tiny but
you
I'm
mighty.
top of the cabinets just to get a plate, then yeah, we'll take you on. We don't care.
Liz, honestly, you've got honey badger written all over you. Like I would not fuck with you, not even for an instant. I don't know. Something I don't know. Maybe it's the Italian in you. I don't know. But then there's Abby who's tall and like I don't know. Like I'm always constantly like saying never underestimate Abby because I have a feeling that she would come around and pull a surprise on your ass. I don't
I
know.
Attitude of
once
the
upon a
Southern
time, I
Belle.
was training in boxing and kickboxing, and I'd like to think that I've got still, especially after I spent way too much time going into fawn and freeze response. These days, it's all fight.
Right, because there's no telling if you don't fight what's gonna happen. I'm like Sam, I'm sorry. You look like you could throw a mean can of mace yourself. There, and I know that any one of y'all. Any one of y'all would be safe around there. And I think I've never like I've been going into women's bathrooms ever since I started transitioning because fuck it,
Yeah,
that's
I'm
where I
sorry.
belong. That's where I belong.
Hmm.
And that's where I feel comfortable and it's where I'm gonna go. And I have never, there may have been a few side eyes here or there, or maybe a few double takes like, oh, hey, she's a tall one, like but generally speaking, we go in there, we pee, we wash our hands, we get the fuck out, and that's it. And I think that most people think that way. Most people are not going to ruin their day at Target to tussle with the pink-haired trans bitch twice their size. But I mean, I don't know. Maybe there are people who just want that smoke. I don't know. But
When
I,
I
I'm
was when I was like, early 20s, we were clubbing and all of that. The women's bathroom line was always so long, so we'd go to the men's bathroom, right? So
right.
why was that okay for me to do?
That's been a thing forever.
Right.
Like at theme parks, at sporting events, things like that, you always see women being like, "Fuck this line. I'm gonna go over here and pee in the men's room, and then we're
Yeah,
gonna be
because nobody's
gone."
over there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, why was that okay? But
That's
like
what
there's this whole problem now. So
I think it's because now somebody has told them to be mad about it.
Hmm.
Like they weren't mad about it before, but somebody's told them they should be mad about it, and they're suddenly like, "We're protecting women, except we won't prosecute rapists, and we won't protect our children from molesters, and we won't." ever do anything meaningful, but go women. We care
Right.
about their sports, we won't watch.
I think if you just take that one day of shopping, I think we've proven that we can handle our own shit. Y'all can fuck off.
Honestly, honestly. We are getting close to the end of the show here, which is where we usually get into our final thoughts. And I want to start with at least one thought that's directed towards my daughter here, and it's just say, "Oh my God, I'm so happy to see you right now."
Thank you. It's a
Mhm.
bit dark in here.
That's okay. You're in a hospital. It's
Yep.
supposed to be that way. You're probably supposed to be getting some rest, but I'm glad you're here. And so I do want to say that. But final thoughts for the night. And we've talked about a lot of stuff. Just what's on your mind, Sim?
Uh, oh, Sim or Sam?
Sim, this time. I'll get
Okay.
to you in a minute.
I really enjoyed tonight. Casey, and we've all been friends with Casey for a while, and and I've really enjoyed this opportunity of kind of getting to know her, not even better, but just different things and the life experiences. I mean, I think that um I just have a lot of respect for people that go through things and still keep their kindness intact, for other people.
Mhm.
Um, because I'm a firm believer that when we go through things, it hits us one of two ways. Either we purposely make a point out of trying being nicer, or it makes us jaded and mean as fuck. And you know, and I have a lot of respect for you going through everything you go through and still holding space for people and being the good person that you are.
I agree. It's really easy to get jaded,
Staying
but you
soft in
haven't
a
let that
world
happen.
determined to harden you.
Yeah, that part. That part. Liz, your thoughts for the night?
Hey, I get to go second for once. I
Yes, you
feel
don't
it
have to
feels
go
so
at the
nice.
end.
Right after everyone does all their heartfelt things, and then
You're a veteran now, so you get to go
thank you.
first. Yes.
So it was really nice meeting you. I unfortunately came late. I was in meetings today, so I just haven't been. I wasn't here for the whole show, so I'm gonna have to go rewatch. Then we're about to be friends. My last thought is, um, I wanted to tell you a story, a very, very quick story about when I used to work for an answering service. And I actually live in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so, we've got Silicon Valley, a lot of the big corporations are out here. And we had a Facebook hotel and housing. So all the penthouse suites, like we would answer for that. We would call front desk or we would call maintenance or whatever. All the penthouse suites, they would call us every day for ketchup. Like, this is the emergency line, okay? We need ketchup. The children are angry. Send the syrup. I don't
The
have any
children are
mayo.
revolting. Come help quickly.
So every time we would see those calls come in, we'd be like, oh my God, right? Because we knew. But there was one day where there was this like grand farmers market happening downstairs. I guess some guys in the hotel part of the Facebook tower, they decided they were trying to open the window. They were trying to have a smoke. So they tried to open the window so they could lean out, smoke while they could watch, what was going on. Well, when they leaned out, there was a tree branch. You weren't supposed to open the windows, and the branch fell and smashed this poor lady's entire tent setup, all of her fruit, everything was on the ground. So I take the call, and I'm having my manager listen because I'm like, hey, chop chop, like this is bad. Like we need to dispatch like fire. And I'm like, where are you now? We're running. We're running down the street. They're on their cell phone. I'm like, no, go back. Go back. And they're like, no, we don't want to get in trouble. We checked out. We left. So we didn't know who the heck was calling, which window it was, nothing. Fire department ends up getting there. They end up figuring out. And then later on, we actually got a call from those guys again saying they were really sorry. And they understand that now they have to be in the penthouse instead of being in the hotel. So they just got upgraded.
Oh my God.
So those are my last thoughts. I just wanted to share that story because we had all these like crazy calls. And
I
like
love it.
nobody ever thinks about like the Facebook hotel residency tower.
Thank you for sharing that. That was awesome.
That is so
Um, That's what did you say, Casey?
That is so on brand for running hotels.
It really is.
It
Hurricane Sam this time. Sam, what are your final thoughts for tonight? Anything you want
That
to say?
I'm glad I joined when I did because I was totally like knocked out. But I have diamond loyalty. I'm gonna have to remember that. So next time one of them comes in here, I have diamond loyalty.
When the nurse comes in,
Yeah, I have
they're
diamond
like,
loyalty,
"What do you have for your dime and loyalty guests?"
right?
Yes, you should do that. You should ask them if they punch the cards.
Right?
I'm so glad to see you feeling a little bit better. Can't wait for you to get out of the hospital, and we're all pulling for you and sending our thoughts and prayers. And
Thank you so
you
much.
too. You're welcome. Abby, your thoughts for the night.
Well, firstly, Casey, it's been so wonderful getting to know you, and I think the biggest thought, the biggest takeaway is hot damn, the people who run hotels are some badasses. Like they shouldn't have to be with all those diamond members and what have you, but still, I continue to be in awe. And yeah, y'all be nice to people working in the service industry because they're going through it.
Indeed, indeed. And be nice to the people on the phones too, because it's crazy to me when people are calling in to phone service and I'm like, you are talking awfully big for somebody whose name, address, phone number, and credit card information are right fucking here. Like, like you don't know me, but I know you, and I've been ethical so far. I've never done anything like that, but there's
Right?
always that one person who's going to be like, you know what? I've had enough of this.
Freeze that
And that
account.
happens with
What
hotels
reservation?
too.
I don't see a reservation here, sir. I'm
Right.
sorry, we can't help you.
With hotels, you literally have their credit card in your hand. Like, there's no telling what you could do. Like
Just like
the
treat the staff to church's chicken.
To say nothing
right, like
about that I can charge things to their room from the sundry and they'd have to prove that they didn't order it. I haven't,
it's
but
just a
But you
thing that
could.
it's a thing that's possible. And yeah, Casey's taking showing the pussy here. Sim's showing the pussy too.
Kitty.
I'd rather hold her than have her chew my arms.
Leave it to the trans woman to not have a pussy to show.
Oh,
Honestly.
Abby's giving into peer pressure. She's getting out
Yes.
her pussy.
Yeah. Casey, if you would give us your final thoughts for tonight.
I'm really glad I was able to trade my off day to be here. Um, and this was really fun. Hopefully some of the things that we discussed will spark some ideas for some people to keep others safe um, in the future as things continue to unfold. And I'm really glad we got to hang out together tonight.
I'm glad we
Yeah.
did too. It's been a long time coming.
Because
Yeah.
you guys were talking about retail work, right? And retail workers.
Hmm.
Well, speaking of that, just real quick, when I was working at Walmart, I was working the loading docks. And this was back when Walmart was open 24 hours. So I
Oh,
had some drunk guy come up to my loading dock door and he was knocking on the doors, freaking out. And it's like, sir, you have to come around front if you have a question. And he's looking around at all the cameras, right? He's like looking around. And it's like, sir, go around front. Then kicks the door. Why is the door so smart? And it honestly, I didn't mind that kind of customer. It was pretty funny to just fuck with him. And it's just like, please don't kick me. Corporate just had me painted.
it's yeah, I used to work Walmart after hours too. And like y'all remember when we could go get a loaf of bread and a pair of tube socks at 2 in the morning? Like
Right?
honestly, like And back then, when I was doing that, they had McDonald's there too, so you could go get your loaf of bread, your tube socks, a $5 DVD, and a quarter pounder with cheese.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, why did we stop doing that? That doesn't make sense
COVID.
to me. I
COVID.
know
Well, and
I know COVID.
the McDonald's that we had inside our Walmart, Loki had probably the best soft pretzels that I'd had in forever.
Yes,
Like, I don't, this is the only one in town that did that, is the one inside the Walmart. And they don't have it now. But man, they had the best soft pretzels.
they did. Oh my gosh, the things we've lost from COVID. But yeah, I think just as my final thought tonight, I think that um, when it comes to protecting one another, like we have to be able to have women that we can count on. Men, we've already had a situation this week with me and a couple other friends where there was a man who proved themselves to be unworthy and unsafe. And women
Mm-hmm.
taking care of women, women watching out after women, that's what's up. And so if you can be that woman who watches out for others, be that woman. Or if you can help the woman who's that woman, do what you can do. But let's look out for each other this week and on out because it's only gonna get harder from here, I'm afraid. But I
Yeah.
appreciate everybody joining the show. Please check us out on Spotify and Apple. If you're here in the YouTube channel and you have not clicked that subscribe button, please do that right now so that you can get alerts every time we come live. We are live every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are the Hurricane Girls. We are here being women and doing it loudly. So for Hurricane Sim, Hurricane Liz, Hurricane Sam, and Hurricane Abby, and our honorary hurricane tonight, Hurricane Caci. This is Hurricane Sheila Chappelle, America's ex-girlfriend, saying, chin up, tits out, ladies. And I'm going to leave us with our own Miss Emily. Hold back the river.
Love, love, rescue me. Hold back the river and part the sea. 'Cause I know change is the devil's breed. Hold back the river and part the sea. Wind, blow, go and spread that seed. Hold back the river and part the sea. Because I know the shore is a place for me. Hold back the river and part the sea. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes you gotta trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea. I said hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes you gotta trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea. Faith, love, hope, and charity. Hold back the river and part the sea. You gotta give if you want to receive. Hold back the river and part the sea. Trust, though it's hard to believe. Hold back the river and part the sea. You close one door to find out where the other may lead. Hold back the river and part the sea. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes you gotta trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes you gotta trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea. I said hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea. Hold back the river. Hold back the river. Oh, hold back the river. Hold back the river. Sometimes you gotta trust what you cannot see. Hold back the river and part the sea.